So in this video, I want to explain how I'm creating the track on the Ether Waves Volume 2 album called Project 5. So basically, this track has 3 parts. In the first part, I'm starting off with the output of the algodrawn module on algorithm 45, and this sounds like this. So it's really just the algodrawn module going through the Nile filter here and then going straight through to the mixer and to the multi-FX, which is on deep space algorithm. So this also gets a CV input, so it changes the pitch, and this comes from the sequencer 8 module down here. And here I'm using a 3-step sequence, so it gets 3 steps. And those 3 steps have the raw output. So I just kind of changed the CV in here and just switches between those. So listen to that again. Exactly how I created those knobs here. Or these knobs, basically, that is what we will hear. The second voice in here is a drone that's coming from the Sorvox. So let's listen to that. You can see here that the pitch of the Sorvox is driven by this VC switch. Every time this changes, you will hear a pitch change. I'm using this method here because I only have 2 sequencers and this is only a 2-note sequence. So I'm actually using the output of the 2@CV module down here. So 2 different outputs that are tuned to these 2 different pitches. And they go into the A and B inputs on the VC switch. And then there's a gate signal from an LFO, which has a very long pulse that then creates that transition. The Sorvox also goes then through a VCA, and the VCA is triggered by an envelope, and the envelope and the LFO that trigger the pitch changes are not quite in beat. So the pitch changes chaotically just between the VCO being open. At first I thought that was, not really good, and I tried very hard to get them in sync. But then I actually thought it actually sounded really nice, that it's so random and adds actually a bit of character. So I just left it like that. The third voice in this part is actually the drum beat. The drum beat is coming from my 2 kicks, kick 1, kick 2, and the snare on the drum kit, and they all 3 get triggered by the topograph module up here. Usually I put everything through my multi-FX, and I hated that for drums because it muddles them up, especially on deep space. And I wanted my drum to sound very dry, so they actually go out into this 4IO module here and go straight to an outboard mixer and bypassing the FX module. So I have to actually tune them in by reaching up, which you can't see here, to my mixer and turn them in and out. The second part of the track is a kind of a transition. And that starts with the introduction of a sequence that sounds like this. So what's going on here is that I have the output of one MS-20 filter, which is a very nice sine wave, and that goes into a VCA with quite a snappy envelope, and from there into the delay, and the delay adds that bounciness to it. Now the pitch of that MS-20 filter comes from the CV input here, and that comes from actually the quantizer here, which gets the input from the sequencer 16, which is running just a 4-node sequence. In this case, you can see it goes back to 1. Using the quantizer, I can actually tune this filter, which is really nice. That's what gives that bounciness. And then the transition from that is another bell-like sound. And I love this sound. I'm using it in quite a few tracks now. This is coming from the FMOS module here. No CV input, just the output going into a VCA with a snappy envelope and going straight into the mixer. Just creates that church bell-like sound. Now the third part in this track is the Selena module. And the Selena has an input where you can switch the chords up and down, so the different chord progressions. And the problem with that is that if you use either the minus or plus, you can progress from the first to the last chord, but then it gets stuck at the end and it doesn't cycle around. So to overcome that, I have put a trigger from the Trig 164 into the 3VC switch and going out via A and B into the plus and the minus. And when it gets stuck, I just click the latch button and then it goes from either the bottom to the top or from the top to the bottom again. I just have to do that manually. Whenever I hear it get stuck, I just click that latch button and it goes back. What's really nice, the second voice on the third part is a theremin-like sound. I always wanted a theremin, and I don't have one at the moment, so I thought I build one myself from a very clean sine wave from the second MS-20 filter here, and I'm dialing in 2 different pitches, so you can hear that. So this is just this MS-20 filter on 1 pitch, and then I have the switch again, and I can click the latch button on the 3rd channel here. And that gives me the 2nd pitch. And those 2 pitches are coming from the 4-add mix here, where I'll just dial them in and they go into the A and B channel, and via the latch I can put that into the cutoff frequency of the twin MS-20 filter. And I've tuned it by ear so that both pitches sound good with every chord that plays on the Selena. So if I put them both together, so this is the low pitch, and I'm dialing them in and out just as you would with a theremin. That's basically the whole patch. There's a lot of cabling going on because of different LFOs and clock sources, and of course those different two-node sequencers that I had to build from the 2-ADCV, the 4-ADMIX, the 3VC switch. All of that complicates things a lot and adds to this bunch of cables. But otherwise, very, very simple patch with basically 3 parts and 5 different voices to it. I hope you enjoyed this overview, and I hope you enjoyed my patch. And I do hope that you are listening to all the tracks on the Ether Waves Volume 2 album. And please buy the album. The proceeds are going to Musicians Without Borders and helping to promote music across the world to help people in war-torn regions and to communicate peace throughout the world. Thank you very much for watching.